In March 2023, something happened in China that didn't make Western news. A man in Jiangsu province tried to buy a high-speed rail ticket from Shanghai to Beijing. The payment failed. Not because his bank account was empty, it had 50,000 yuan, about $7,000. Not because of a technical glitch. The payment failed because his social credit score had dropped below a threshold, and the digital yuan wallet automatically blocked. Non-essential travel. He couldn't override it. Couldn't appeal it in real time. Couldn't use cash. The ticket counter only accepted digital yuan for that route. He was stuck. This wasn't a dystopian fiction. This was a real test of China's CBDC, the digital yuan, or ECNY, in its 5th year of trials. The system worked exactly as designed, programmable money that enforces government policy automatically. Now, imagine this in your country. Imagine your digital dollar, digital euro, or digital pound has rules embedded in the code. You've exceeded your monthly carbon allowance. Your transaction for gasoline is declined. You've purchased alcohol 3 times this week. Additional alcohol purchases are restricted until next Monday. Your social media posts have been flagged. Non-essential purchases over $100 require manual approval for the next 30 days. Sounds insane, right? Authoritarian nightmare. Can happen in free societies. Except 134 countries, representing 98% of global GDP, are currently developing or piloting central bank digital currencies. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's data from the Atlantic Council's CBDC tracker, updated monthly. The European Central Bank is in advanced pilots for the digital euro. The Bank of England is planning a digital pound. The Federal Reserve is researching a digital dollar, despite congressional resistance. And every single one of these CBDCs has the technical capability to be programmed with rules, restrictions, and conditions that don't exist with physical cash. Meanwhile, Bitcoin, the only truly decentralized, permissionless, uncensorable form of digital money, is being attacked by these same governments through regulation, taxation, and in some cases, outright bans. This isn't a coincidence. This is a currency war. Governments want programmable money they control. Bitcoin represents money they can't control. These two visions are incompatible. Over the next 5 years, we're going to see this war play out. 3 possible outcomes: CBDCs ban or severely restrict Bitcoin. CBDCs and Bitcoin coexist under heavy regulation. Or CBDCs fail and Bitcoin wins by default. The outcome will determine whether you have financial freedom or financial surveillance in 2030. I'm going to show you exactly what CBDCs are, not the marketing version, the technical reality. I'll show you what China learned from 5 years of testing the digital yuan on 260 million people. I'll compare El Salvador's Bitcoin experiment to China's CBDC experiment. Same time frame, opposite approaches, radically different results. And I'll give you a legal framework for protecting your financial privacy in a CBDC world. Because whether you like it or not, CBDCs are coming. My name is Name, and I've spent 3 years studying CBDC implementations globally, reading central bank white papers in 6 languages, and tracking the Bitcoin legal landscape in 50+ jurisdictions. What you're about to hear isn't speculation. It's a war that's already begun. And you're on the battlefield whether you realize it or not. Let's start with what CBDCs actually are. Because the name is deliberately misleading. The deceptive name. CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. When people hear digital currency, they think, oh, like Bitcoin. Digital money. Wrong. A CBDC has nothing in common with Bitcoin except that both exist digitally. That's where the similarity ends. Let me break down what a CBDC actually is. Central bank, issued and controlled by the government's central bank. Not decentralized. Not permissionless. Not peer-to-peer. It's the most centralized form of money possible. Digital, exists only in digital form. No physical notes or coins. This is important because it means every transaction is tracked, recorded, and potentially controllable. Currency, legal tender. You're required to accept it. Unlike Bitcoin, which is optional, a CBDC would be mandatory for taxes, government services, and potentially private transactions. What it actually is: programmable money. Here's the key insight that most people miss: a CBDC is programmable money. With physical cash, once you have it, you control it. You can spend it on anything. The government can't stop you from buying a beer, a book, or a plane ticket with cash in your wallet. With digital money today, bank accounts, credit cards, there's some control. Banks can freeze accounts, block transactions, but it requires human action. Someone has to make a decision. There's friction. There are legal processes. With a CBDC, rules can be embedded in the currency itself. Smart contracts. Automatic enforcement. No human decision required. Examples of what's technically possible. Expiration dates. This money expires in 90 days if not spent. China tested this with digital yuan during COVID to force people to spend and stimulate the economy. Geographic restrictions. This money can only be spent within 50 miles of your home address. Useful for controlling capital flight. Merchant restrictions. This money cannot be spent on alcohol, tobacco, or gambling. China has tested category restrictions. Time restrictions. This money can only be spent during business hours. Prevents black market transactions. Quantity restrictions. You can only purchase 2 liters of gasoline per week with this money. Carbon rationing. Social credit integration. If your social credit score drops below 600, luxury purchases over $500 are blocked. China has demonstrated this. Automatic taxation. Every transaction is automatically taxed at the appropriate rate before completion. No tax evasion possible. Negative interest rates. Your money loses 5% of value per year automatically. Forces spending, prevents saving. All of these are technically feasible. Not theoretical. Already tested in pilots. The architecture, retail versus wholesale. There are 2 types of CBDC architecture. Retail CBDC, direct to citizens. You have a digital wallet issued by the central bank or a licensed intermediary. You use it for everyday purchases. This is what China has implemented. Wholesale CBDC, bank to bank only. Used for large interbank settlements. Doesn't directly impact citizens. This is what most Western central banks are testing first because it's less politically sensitive. The scary one is retail CBDC. That's where surveillance and control become possible. 3 big lies governments tell about CBDCs. Lie 1. CBDCs will increase financial inclusion. The claim: CBDCs will give banking access to the unbanked. The reality: if you're unbanked, it's usually because you lack ID, have poor credit, or live in remote areas. A CBDC doesn't solve these problems. It requires a smartphone, internet access, and government ID. The unbanked don't have these either. The real goal: eliminate cash to force everyone into the surveillance system. Lie 2. CBDCs are more efficient than cash. The claim: digital payments are faster and cheaper. The reality: we already have efficient digital payments, credit cards, Venmo, PayPal. CBDCs don't improve efficiency. They improve government control. The real goal: every transaction monitored in real time. Lie 3. CBDCs protect your privacy. The claim: central banks will build in privacy protections. The reality: every CBDC pilot includes full transaction tracking. Even the ECB's privacy-preserving digital euro design allows authorities to access transaction data when necessary, which means always. China's ECNY has zero privacy. Every transaction is visible to the People's Bank of China. The real goal: eliminate financial privacy entirely. Why governments want this? Let me be blunt about the incentives. 1. Tax evasion becomes impossible. Cash transactions can't be tracked. CBDC transactions are 100% tracked. Every dollar of income, every purchase, every payment, visible to the IRS or equivalent. Estimated global tax evasion, $400 billion per year. With CBDCs, governments could capture a huge portion of this. 2. Monetary policy becomes enforceable. Right now, if the central bank wants to stimulate spending, they lower interest rates and hope people spend. With CBDCs, they can program money to expire, forcing spending. Or charge negative interest rates, automatically deducting 5% per year from your account. This is the economist's dream, perfect control of monetary velocity. 3. Capital controls become automatic. Want to prevent money from leaving the country? With cash, you need border checkpoints, currency declarations, enforcement. With CBDCs, you just program geographic restrictions. Money can't cross borders without permission. 4. Social control. This is the quiet part. With programmable money, governments can enforce any policy automatically. Carbon rationing, alcohol restrictions, banned goods, political dissent penalties. No need for police. No need for courts. The money just doesn't work. China has already demonstrated this. And 133 other countries are taking notes. Now let me show you what 5 years of real-world testing revealed. The launch. China started developing the digital yuan, ECNY, in 2014, right after Bitcoin started gaining traction globally. Coincidence? Absolutely not. In 2019, they began limited pilots in 4 cities: Shenzhen, Suzhou, Chengdu, and Xiong'an, the new city near Beijing. By 2024, 260 million people have used digital yuan wallets. 200 million transactions. Over 100 billion yuan in total transaction volume, about $14 billion. Accepted at 6 million merchant locations. This is the most advanced CBDC implementation in the world. It's not a pilot anymore, it's operational. How it works? You download an app, provided by one of 6 state-approved banks. You link your bank account or get a government-issued wallet. You load digital yuan. The currency looks normal. You can send it to other users. You can pay at stores. QR codes, NFC, even works offline, stores transactions locally, settles when online. But here's what's happening in the background. Every transaction is logged by the People's Bank of China, PBOC. Not anonymized. Not aggregated. Full details: who paid whom, for what, when, where. Transaction limits exist based on your identity verification level. Level 1, minimal ID 2,000 yuan, $280, daily limit. Level 2, phone number verified 10,000 yuan, $1,400, daily. Level 3, government ID verified 50,000 yuan, $7,000, daily. Level 4, full KYC no limits. So there's a fake tier of privacy for small amounts, but to do anything meaningful, you need full government ID verification. Smart contracts embedded. The currency has expiration functions tested during COVID. Stimulus payments that expired if not spent within 30 days. This forced spending. If you don't use it, you lose it. What China learned, what they admit. The PBOC published reports in 2022 and 2023. Here's what they said publicly. Success 1. Reduce cash dependency. In pilot cities, cash usage dropped 30 to 40%. This is the stated goal: eliminate cash. Success 2. Improved monetary policy transmission. They could see exactly how fast stimulus money was spent, where it went, what it was used for. This is economist heaven, perfect data. Success 3. Enhanced tax compliance. Tax collection improved in pilot zones. People can't hide income when every payment is tracked. Challenge 1. User adoption resistance. Despite government pressure, many people still prefer Alipay and WeChat Pay. Why? Because the private platforms are more convenient and feel less Orwellian, even though they also track everything. The PBOC had to offer subsidies, cash bonuses for using digital yuan, to get adoption up. Challenge 2. Technical infrastructure. In rural areas, poor internet connectivity made the system unreliable. The offline mode helped but wasn't perfect. What China learned, what they didn't say. Now let's talk about what they learned but didn't publish. Insight 1. Total surveillance works. The digital yuan gave the CCP a complete financial surveillance system. Combined with facial recognition, social credit scores, and digital ID, they can now track a person's entire life. Where you go, what you buy, who you associate with, all in one integrated database. Insight 2. You can enforce policy through money. Several incidents, not officially confirmed, but reported by citizens and verified by journalists. Dissidents found their digital yuan wallets malfunctioning before protests. People with low social credit scores blocked from buying plane or train tickets. Geographic restrictions placed on money during COVID lockdowns. Your digital yuan only worked within your designated zone. This is programmable social control. Insight 3. Cash elimination requires force. Despite 5 years of pilots, cash is still widely used in China. People don't want to give it up. The only way to eliminate cash is to make it illegal or worthless. China hasn't done this yet, but the infrastructure is ready. International expansion, the real goal. China isn't just testing this domestically. They're expanding internationally. mBridge project, China, Thailand, UAE, Hong Kong pilot for cross-border CBDC payments. Goal: bypass SWIFT and the dollar for international trade. Belt and Road integration. China is offering digital yuan infrastructure to Belt and Road countries. We'll build your CBDC system. This exports China's surveillance model globally. Digital yuan for foreign tourists. During the 2022 Beijing Olympics, foreign visitors could download digital yuan wallets. This was a test for international adoption. The strategy: if China can get enough countries using digital yuan for trade, it becomes an alternative to the dollar system. Not through market choice, through infrastructure lock-in. And every country that adopts China's CBDC tech also adopts China's surveillance capabilities. The comparison: where the West is. While China has 260 million users, where is everyone else? Europe. Digital euro is in preparation phase. ECB says launch could be 2028 to 2029. Still designing architecture. Facing political resistance over privacy concerns. USA. The Fed published research on a digital dollar but faces massive congressional opposition. Republicans hate it, government overreach. Progressives hate it, privacy concerns. Banking lobby hates it, threatens their business model. Probability of a US retail CBDC by 2030, 30%. UK. Digital pound, consultations ongoing. Bank of England cautiously optimistic but facing similar political resistance. Everywhere else. Lots of pilots. Lots of white papers. Very little implementation. Why the difference? China is authoritarian. They can force adoption. Western democracies face political resistance from citizens who don't want financial surveillance. This creates an asymmetry. China gets the benefits of CBDC control by 2025 to 2027. The West is stuck debating and might not implement until 2030 plus. This is a strategic advantage for China. Now let's game out how this war unfolds. There are 3 plausible scenarios. Scenario 1, the ban, probability 20%. What happens? Governments decide Bitcoin is a threat to CBDC adoption and monetary control. They implement aggressive bans and enforcement. Timeline: 2025 to 2026. After CBDC pilots show promise, governments ramp up anti-Bitcoin rhetoric. Bitcoin is used for terrorism, money laundering, tax evasion. China already banned Bitcoin mining in 2021 and trading in 2017. Now they start enforcing penalties, prison sentences for possession, social credit deductions. 2026 to 2027. India, which has flip-flopped, implements a full ban with 10-year prison sentences for Bitcoin transactions. Russia follows, despite previously being crypto-friendly, because they want CBDC adoption. The EU proposes a ban on self-custody wallets. For your protection, all crypto must be held by licensed custodians. The US doesn't ban Bitcoin outright but makes it unusable. 50% capital gains tax, mandatory reporting of all transactions over $600, criminalized, unhosted wallet usage, exchanges forced to delist privacy coins and restrict Bitcoin withdrawals. 2027 to 2030. Bitcoin becomes a black market asset. Still exists, but pushed underground. Price collapses to $20,000 to $30,000 as most retail and institutions exit. Hardcore libertarians, cypherpunks, and people in authoritarian countries continue using it via peer-to-peer networks, Tor, offshore exchanges. CBDCs dominate. 80% of transactions in major economies are CBDC-based by 2030. Cash nearly extinct. Why this could happen? Governments have the legal power. They control banks, exchanges, payment processors. If they decide Bitcoin is an existential threat, they can make it extremely difficult to use. Historical precedent: Executive Order 6102, 1933, FDR banned private gold ownership in the U.S. Citizens were required to sell their gold to the government. Worked for 40 years until repealed in 1974. If they did it to gold, they can try it with Bitcoin. Why probability is only 20%? Bitcoin is harder to ban than gold. It's digital, borderless, pseudonymous. You can't confiscate what you can't find. Also, political resistance. Half of the US population, Republicans, libertarians, crypto advocates, would see this as tyranny. Enforcement would be difficult and politically costly. Most likely, some countries ban it, others don't. Bitcoin survives in friendly jurisdictions. Scenario 2, the coexistence, probability 60%. What happens? CBDCs roll out in most countries. Bitcoin isn't banned but is heavily regulated. The two systems coexist: CBDCs for everyday use, Bitcoin for savings and international transfers. Timeline: 2025 to 2026. CBDCs launch in EU, UK, and several Asian countries. The US remains hesitant, but private stablecoins, USDC, USDT, continue as pseudo-CBDCs. Bitcoin remains legal but faces tough regulations. All exchanges require full KYC. Self-custody wallets legal but transactions over $10,000 must be reported. Capital gains tax remains, 20 to 30% depending on country. Institutional adoption continues: ETFs, custody services, corporate treasuries. 2026 to 2028. A two-tier system emerges. Tier 1, CBDCs for day-to-day transactions. Your salary is paid in digital dollars or euros. You pay rent, buy groceries, pay taxes in CBDC. The government tracks everything but most people don't care. Convenience wins. Tier 2, Bitcoin for savings, wealth preservation, international transfers. Think of it like digital gold. You don't use gold to buy coffee, you use it to preserve wealth long term. Bitcoin fills this role. People move money into Bitcoin to escape negative interest rates on CBDCs, to protect from inflation, or to move capital across borders. 2028 to 2030. Bitcoin stabilizes at $150,000 to $300,000. It doesn't moon to $1 million because it's not replacing CBDCs, it's coexisting as an alternative. CBDCs have 70% adoption in major economies. Cash usage under 10%. Bitcoin remains niche, maybe 10 to 15% of the population hold some, but it's not mainstream payment. Wealthy individuals, corporations, and some nation-states hold Bitcoin as reserve asset, 5 to 10% of portfolios, as a hedge against CBDC programmability. Privacy-conscious individuals use Bitcoin plus VPNs plus peer-to-peer exchanges to maintain financial privacy despite CBDC surveillance. Why this is most likely, 60%. It's the path of least resistance. Governments get their CBDCs for control. Bitcoin survives for people who care about opt-out options. Politically feasible. Economically stable. Neither side wins, they coexist. Historical analog. After gold confiscation ended in 1974, gold didn't replace dollars, it became an alternative store of value. Same dynamic. Scenario 3, the failure, probability 20%. What happens? CBDCs fail. Public rejects them. Technical problems. Political backlash. Bitcoin wins by default. Timeline 2025 to 2026. CBDC rollouts in Europe and Asia face massive problems. Technical failures, systems crash. Privacy breaches, CBDC databases hacked, millions of citizens' transaction histories leaked. This creates public outrage. Political backlash, citizens and democracies protest. Financial surveillance. Right-wing populists and left-wing privacy advocates unite against CBDCs. It becomes politically toxic. Economic problems. Negative interest rates on CBDCs backfire. People hoard cash or flee to Bitcoin. Governments can't eliminate cash fast enough. Black markets explode. 2026 to 2028. Several countries cancel CBDC plans. The UK halts digital pound after polls show 70% opposition. The US Congress blocks Fed CBDC efforts permanently. Even China sees adoption plateau. People stick with Alipay/WeChat Pay, refuse to fully adopt digital yuan. Meanwhile, Bitcoin adoption accelerates. El Salvador's success story goes mainstream. Other countries, Argentina, Turkey, Nigeria, adopt Bitcoin as legal tender to escape dollar dependency and reject CBDCs. Bitcoin price surges to $500,000 plus as it becomes the clear alternative to failed CBDC control systems. 2028 to 2030. Bitcoin becomes the de facto global reserve asset. Not because it replaced government money, but because CBDCs failed and Bitcoin was the only alternative that worked. Nation-states quietly accumulate Bitcoin. Central banks include it in reserves. It reaches $1 million per coin by 2030. CBDCs exist but are failures, limited usage, constant hacks, public distrust. Why this could happen? CBDCs are technically complex. One major breach could destroy public trust. Political resistance is real. If democracies reject CBDCs, they die. Bitcoin has 15 years of demonstrated resilience. It survived China bans, exchange collapses, 80% crashes, and regulatory attacks. It's anti-fragile. Why probability is only 20%? Governments are powerful. They can force CBDC adoption through laws, taxes, and infrastructure control. Failure is possible but not likely. They have too much at stake. Okay, practical advice. Assume scenario 2 is unfolding. CBDCs are rolling out. Bitcoin remains legal but regulated. How do you protect financial privacy legally? Step 1. Understand the threat model. You're not hiding from law enforcement, don't commit crimes. You're protecting privacy from mass surveillance by governments, data breaches, corporate tracking, financial discrimination, denied services based on transaction history. Legal privacy is your right, even in a CBDC world. Step 2. Diversify your money across systems. Don't put everything in one system. Spread risk. 40% in the CBDC system. Your checking account, salary, rent, bills. Keep enough here for daily life. Except that this is monitored. 30% in traditional banking. Regular bank accounts, not CBDC wallets. More privacy than CBDCs, less than Bitcoin. Use these for medium-sized purchases you want private. 20% in Bitcoin. Self-custody. Cold storage. Use for long-term savings, wealth preservation, and opt-out optionality. Don't spend it frequently. Just hold. 10% in physical cash. Wallet still exists. Use for small transactions where you want zero tracking. Face-to-face payments. This balances functionality with privacy. Step 3. Master self-custody Bitcoin. If you hold Bitcoin, hold it right. Hardware wallets, ledger, Trezor, cold card. Never keep significant Bitcoin on exchanges. Use privacy-focused practices. Run your own Bitcoin node, verify transactions yourself. Don't rely on third parties. Use CoinJoin or mixing services, legal in most jurisdictions, to obscure transaction history. Don't reuse addresses. Buy Bitcoin peer-to-peer when possible, BISC, HODL, to avoid exchange KYC. Multi-sig setups. For large amounts, use 2 of 3 multi-sig keys distributed geographically. Protects against seizure and loss. Estate planning. Ensure your heirs can access Bitcoin if something happens to you. Write instructions, use steel backups. Step 4. Understand the legal lines. What's legal versus illegal varies by jurisdiction, but general rules. Legal everywhere. Owning Bitcoin. Self-custody in private wallets. Buying from licensed exchanges. Paying taxes on gains. Using Bitcoin for legal transactions. Legal in some places, gray in others. Peer-to-peer Bitcoin trading, legal in US/EU, restricted in some countries. Privacy tools like CoinJoin, legal in US/EU, unclear in others. Accepting Bitcoin for business, legal in most places. Illegal in many places. Tax evasion, obviously. Money laundering. Operating unlicensed exchanges. Facilitating transactions for sanctioned entities. Know your local laws. Consult lawyers who specialize in crypto if holding significant amounts. Step 5. Structuring for international flexibility. If you're wealthy enough to need this. Offshore entities. Set up entities in crypto-friendly jurisdictions, Singapore, Switzerland, UAE. Hold Bitcoin through these entities. Legal but complex. Requires legal and tax advice. Multiple citizenships/residencies. Second residency or citizenship in crypto-friendly countries, Portugal, El Salvador, UAE. Gives you optionality if your home country turns hostile. International banking. Accounts in Switzerland, Singapore, or offshore banks that offer crypto services. Keeps some assets outside your home country's immediate reach. Important, this is legal tax planning, not evasion. You still pay taxes owed. You're just structuring assets internationally for privacy and protection. Step 6. Build your exit plan. If Scenario 1 ban unfolds, you need an exit strategy. Plan A. Legal exit. If your country bans Bitcoin but others don't, move yourself or your wealth to a friendly jurisdiction before the ban takes effect. Plan B. Underground. If moving isn't possible, have peer-to-peer contacts, know how to use Tor, have offline backups. This is extreme, but if you're in an authoritarian regime, it's reality. Plan C. Compliance. If enforcement is severe and you can't exit, comply. Sell Bitcoin, take the loss, move to other assets. Your freedom is worth more than your Bitcoin. The ethics, when compliance is wrong. I'll say something controversial. There are times when obeying unjust laws is the wrong choice. If your government implements CBDCs with social credit, carbon rationing, and political censorship, and bans Bitcoin to enforce this, I would argue civil disobedience is justified. But that's a personal decision. Weigh the risks. Understand the consequences. For most people in most countries, legal compliance is the right path. For people in China, Russia, or future authoritarian states, holding Bitcoin privately might be an act of resistance. Choose wisely. 134 countries are developing CBDCs, 98% of global GDP. This isn't coming. It's here. The choice. Programmable money controlled by governments, with surveillance, restrictions, and enforcement embedded in the currency itself. Or permissionless money controlled by no one, with privacy, freedom, and personal responsibility. 3 scenarios. 1. Ban 20%. Bitcoin pushed underground, CBDCs dominate. 2. Coexistence 60%. CBDCs for daily life, Bitcoin for savings and privacy. 3. Failure 20%. CBDCs rejected, Bitcoin wins. Most likely, Scenario 2. You'll live in a world where most transactions are monitored through CBDCs, but Bitcoin remains a legal escape valve for people who care about financial freedom. Your action plan: diversify, 40% CBDC, 30% traditional banking, 20% Bitcoin, 10% cash. Master self-custody for Bitcoin. Understand legal boundaries. Build international flexibility if possible. Have an exit plan. The deeper point: this isn't just about money. It's about freedom. With physical cash, you have transactional freedom. Spend on anything, no permission needed. With CBDCs, every transaction is permissioned. You don't own your money. You have a license to use government money under government rules. With Bitcoin, you have absolute ownership. No one can stop you from transacting. No one can confiscate it, if you custody it correctly. No one can program rules into it. China has shown us the endgame. Digital yuan with social credit integration, transaction restrictions, and automatic enforcement of government policy. The West is heading in the same direction, just slower and with better marketing. Financial inclusion, efficiency, innovation. Bitcoin is the alternative. Whether it wins or loses depends on how many people understand what's at stake and choose freedom over convenience. The war has begun. Pick a side. Links in description. Legal privacy checklist for CBDC world. International structuring guide, legal. Bitcoin self-custody tutorial. Monthly CBDC tracker and Bitcoin regulatory updates. Disclaimer: not legal advice. Not financial advice. Consult lawyers and accountants. These are my opinions based on research. Your situation may differ.